What is up, everybody? Welcome to this glorious Wednesday. If you guys can see me and you guys can hear me, do me a favor and let me know in the chat. I think it was last week, either last week or the week before, I was literally talking to myself for like 15 minutes. I was so excited. I jumped on early. I was able to kind of hang out with everybody behind the scenes before we kicked off the AMA. And I literally talked to myself for like 15 minutes before I realized that I hadn't actually started the broadcast and that nobody could actually hear me. So yeah, that is why you are supposed to do a mic check and a visual check as well before you get started. So right now you guys should see me and my beard, my shirt, Digital Triggers background, and currently there's no slide deck up. So if you guys can see that, let me know in the chat. That would be great. Ed says, all good. Yes, can hear you and see you perfectly. Wonderful, loud and clear. You need a Pat shirt. No way, Andrew. I won't give in. Hey, Joe, what's up? Jonathan Thomas, good to see you, brother. Booyah, hear you. Welcome, Chris. Eric, hear you in Kentucky. Loud and clear, Joe, today. Awesome. Gary says, yes, red shirt. Awesome. Lonnie Solis, good to see you. Andre Dreyer, see it all. All right, fantastic. So we're going to get started in just a couple of minutes here. But before we do, I wanted to get some feedback from you guys on the topics for today. So I spent a couple of hours between yesterday and today kind of mapping out some topics with you guys, specifically about pay-per-call. Okay, but to make sure that I'm on the right track, make sure I haven't missed anything, and to make sure that I really knock it out of the park for you guys today. If you had to dial it down, if you had to dial everything that you want to know about pay-per-call into one question, the most important question, the thing that's going to help you guys, get unstuck specifically with pay-per-call, the thing that's maybe been holding you back from getting in the industry or really taking the next steps or onboarding customers or getting sales or being able to do fulfillment, whatever that is, take a second. Let's take a second before we dive in. I got a lot of awesome content for you guys today. And there is absolutely zero pitch, all right? It is all just freaking value for you guys, all right? So don't worry about that, okay? But let's take a second. Let's slow down before we get started. And let's take a second and really think about the number one thing that I can help you guys with when it comes to pay-per-call. Okay, the thing that would help you get unstuck, or if you guys have read Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, right? The one thing that would really help knock over these other dominoes and just kind of have a longer lasting effect than me just answering one question for you. Okay, so let's take a second, get those into the chat. And as you guys put those in, I'll mute myself for just a second here. And I'm going to compare that to the notes that I have on my screen. All right. And if there's anything that I think I'm missing, I'll go ahead and update my questions here. I will try to address questions as we go through today's training as well. But I got right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, really probably between 10 and 12 questions. Some of them are kind of two-parters that I think are the biggest cruxes in the industry. And what I mean by that are the biggest fucking lies that are told, right? The biggest misconceptions, the fulfillment methods that people are teaching that just downright aren't gonna fucking work and lead you to like literally fall on your face. And all the other crazy shit that I just kind of got to debunk for you guys, all right? And a lot of it has to do with sales. There is some things on fulfillment. There's things on how you structure deals. I see a lot of people structuring deals incorrectly, selling deals that frankly are going to backfire on you and you're not going to be able to fulfill. So those are kind of the main topics. So let me know in the chat any specific questions that you have. And again, we're going to take a minute or so right now just to get those questions in and to make sure we are good to go before we officially kick off, all right? So put your questions in the chat. Hey Ken, I know that there's no audio for those of you guys just joining us right now. I need your help in formalizing and getting the questions done for today's session, all right? So I want you to right now, okay, think about, okay, and I'm gonna go on mute, your number one question, and then I want you to put that in the chat, all right? And I'm just going through my notes and looking at what you guys are saying and making sure I'm not missing anything and trying to prepare for the best session that you guys have ever seen on Paper Call. Jonathan Thomas, brother, great questions. So Jonathan asks, best positioning, should this be alongside or above a core offer, like upsell from a core offer to pay-per call or some other positioning? This is a great line of thinking, and we're going to get into this big time today. All right, so Jamie says, my business just got approved for Google local service ads. How much money should I spend? As much as you possibly can. It's probably going to be one of the cheapest acquisition channels that you have with volume, Jamie. All right, guys, welcome officially to our weekly AMA webinar. I am super excited to be hanging out with each and every one of you guys today. Before we dive in, I got a lot of stuff to share with you guys over the next hour or so. Typically on these AMAs, I have to like stop myself to respect your guys' time, really. I have to stop myself because I can just talk and we can just train for an hour, 2 hours, 2.5 hours, right? So today I'm gonna do my best to pack in as much value as I possibly can and as much value as you guys have possibly seen on any webinar when it comes to the number one topic that you guys are asking me about, which is pay-per-call. Okay, for those of you guys that don't know, I built a 7-figure pay-per-call agency in just 4 months. All right, I've been around the block. I've been doing this stuff a really, really long time, and I got a lot of knowledge, tips, and tricks that I can share with you guys, so that you guys don't have the same bumps and bruises and mishaps and mistakes. You don't make the same mistakes that I did. And trust me when I say, I made a lot of fucking mistakes. All right, so that is the goal today. Okay, so before we go any further, how many of you guys, give me a 1 in the chat if this is your first Wednesday AMA session that you have been on with me live? Give me a 1 in the chat. Okay, if this is your first Wednesday AMA session that you are joining me live, give me a 1 in the chat. All right, man, that is a lot of freaking ones. That is not okay. That is not okay. Okay, just go in and type in the questions box, LM. Questions box is really what I mean, not chat. You can take those as you will. All right, so guys, each and every Wednesday, I come on and I spend roughly an hour dropping as much knowledge as I possibly can, answering your guys' questions, all right? So if you want to join us every week, you're watching the replay, you don't know how the heck to join the AMA, just go to digitaltriggers.io/AMA. And once you guys register, whoop, sorry, that link is wrong. Once you guys register, there's a place where you guys will actually be able to ask your questions. All right, so I take your guys' questions, I take the best of the best, okay, and I run these for you guys each and every week. So a lot of the questions that we've been getting lately have been pay per call focused. So I thought it would be cool today to just do one webinar 100% focused on pay per call. So that is what we're going to do. So a little bit of housekeeping. These webinars automatically every Thursday morning are on YouTube at 9 a.m. Eastern. Okay, I don't send out an email replay. They just go on the YouTube channel. If you guys have joined us for the webinar, you guys would know that, right? So we got a lot of ones, we got a lot of new people on, which is great. I need you guys to know how to get the replay. Okay, go over to YouTube, okay, type in Digital Triggers IO, go to the channel, hit subscribe, hit the notification bell, okay, and every time I upload a new video and a new video goes live, you're going to get it before anybody else, okay? And again, these go live at 9 a.m. Eastern on Thursdays. And in fact, each and every day, we're dropping new videos on the Digital Triggers channel. Okay, so my goal this year, somebody asked me, Joe, what's your goal this year? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this weekly content? And why are you dropping out literally video content for us every single day? And I thought it was a really good question. So I want to share with you guys my goal for this year, and it has to do with you guys. So my goal at Digital Triggers is to provide more value than anybody in this space. Pretty simple, right? Okay, and specifically give you guys the step-by-step systems and processes for you guys to be able to easily grab and implement into your business. Okay, it's not going to be a bunch of fluff. It's not going to be a bunch of bullshit, right? It's all going to be based upon real live results and things that are actionable, things that are tactical, things that you guys can go grab and go swipe, deploy, and implement into your business. Okay, and at the end of the day, if you guys like that stuff, you like all the crazy amount of free shit that I'm giving you guys, I know I'm not stupid, right? That there's going to be an opportunity for us to work together longer term together in more of a paid fashion, if you will, right? I'm not short-sighted. I know if I give you guys a ton of value, I'll get it back in the long term, and so will the company and all the employees and team members here at Digital Triggers. So that's it. Simple. Cool? Is that clear? Give me a 2 if that's cool with everybody. If that's clear with everybody, what my quote-unquote ulterior motive is and what my goal is for 2019. Awesome. So I would love you guys along for the ride. You guys are here on this AMA. I'd love to see you each and every week. I'm here to help you, all right? Ask questions. Okay, these AMAs rely on your guys' input. Without your input, not really any fun. I'm just sitting here hanging out by myself. All right, so if you haven't been to the Digital Triggers site in a while, you should know that there's been a major overhaul over there. Again, content dropping on the blog every single day. And in the bottom right-hand side, if you guys ever need anything, you guys will see live chat. And typically you're gonna get Ryan in there, but every once in a while, you're gonna get me as well. Typically I'm answering 5 to 10 live chats a day. All right, so if you guys need anything, you guys know where to find us. Okay, you can reply to our emails when I send them out from Digital Triggers. You can just hit reply, okay, or you can go over to the site and hit the little chat bubble in the bottom right, and you guys can send us a message. All right, so I got a bunch of topics from you guys in the chat, and I picked up 1 or 2 that that I didn't plan on covering today, and I think we should be able to get it fit into today's topic, no problem, right? For today's agenda, no problem. Last and final note before we go hard and heavy, before we go head down and start knocking out these topics. We have been getting a lot of questions and support, okay, and responses to our email saying, Joe, when are you opening up the pay-per-call mastermind again? And we do have plans officially to open again. So because it's coming, because we're working on putting everything together for you guys, okay, we have set up just today, it's the first day that it's went live, we have set up the enrollment waiting list, all right? So if you guys are interested in knowing more, learning more, or you've already been in the mastermind and you know that you want in, right, and you want first dibs, so to speak, go over to digitaltriggers.io/pay-per-call and you can join that waiting list, all right? Ryan, if you would, could you just let everybody in the chat know that URL, if you could just drop it in there? digitaltriggers.io/pay-per-call. Actually, I got it. Pay. Oh, awesome, man. And if you guys have questions along the way, Ryan will try to help you as long as it's not too consultative and it's something that I need to answer. Okay, so without further ado, we're going to jump right into today's webinar. So let's get today underway. All right, so we're going to kind of start out from a 500-foot view today, all right? So we're going to start with, I think, paste and match style. There we go. Which we're going to start with one of the things that I think is the most important. Okay, and that is simply the reason that pay-per-call is so easy to sell. At the end of the day, pay-per-call is bar none the easiest thing in digital marketing, I believe, to sell. Okay, can I get a 1 in the chat if you would agree with me? Right, you've sold pay-per-call deals, you've talked to people about lead gen, right? It is freaking easy to sell. Okay, give me some feedback in the chat on why you guys think it's so damn easy to sell. Give me some feedback in the chat. I would love to hear your guys' thoughts. Results-based, yes. Right, we're not talking about, you doing Facebook ads and a follow-up sequence and having this offer and that offer, and then you'll actually get a customer to actually contact you and come into your place of business or contact you to come out to their house to do a service, right? We're talking about the thing at the very end of the process, right? So if you got to take a prospect from A to Z until they actually do business with you, we're talking about giving somebody, right, the lead at X, right? We're getting as close as we possibly can to the transaction. Okay. Instant results, yeah, and I think along with that, it's very simple to understand, right? It's not a bunch of crazy math where you got to break down how many search results there are and how many you're going to get and a conversion rate, right, or AdWords and how much it's going to cost per click, and then how many calls are going to convert, right? It's very easy. It's very simple math. Right? We take away all the website cost per click and conversion numbers, and we just say, here is what it's going to cost per call. Okay, any other ideas or thoughts? Yeah, it's the holy grail of everything. Yeah, they only pay for real results, right? I like that as well. No waiting time, right? No waiting time. Yep. Yeah. So not only is it results based, but it's the result that they want. So at the end of the day, most business owners, at least local business owners, brick and mortar business, services businesses, things like that, dentists, doctors, professionals, right? Blue collar, white collar, right? Like at the end of the day, they all want phone calls. That's the type of leads that they want. Okay, not web forms, not likes on Facebook, right? None of that junk, right? What they really want at the end of the day is just more phone calls. Cool. So at the end of the day, this is why pay-per-call is so easy to sell. Okay, so now that we got this out of the way, now we can kind of stack a little bit more on top of this, all right? So what do you guys think? Why do you want to be in pay-per-call? I want to get some feedback from you guys. Okay, of all the different services that you could sell, right? Of all the different offerings that you could sell, from SEO to PPC to social media to retargeting to pay-per-click to reviews, right? There is a lot of options for things that you could sell. Okay, so as an agency, as an entrepreneur, right, why are you interested in pay-per-call? Why do you want to be in pay-per-call? I'm curious to hear your guys' take on it. I have my reasons, right? After being in the industry since 2008, 2009, I guess. So roughly 10 years, right? But I'm sure that I have a little bit of a different perspective than you. Okay, so easier to explain to a prospect. Okay, I like that one, Scott. Hey, Scott Meadows, good to see you, boss. Okay, faster results, quantifiable results. Okay, so obviously it can get hard sometimes getting trapped in lingo and all the different vernacular that we use as marketers each and every day. And when people don't understand that, AKA our prospects and our customers, right, that can be very difficult. It can be much of a learning curve, or a lot of a learning curve. All right, as Frankie says, because I'm in the towing niche and pay-per-call is ideal in my niche. Okay, so for you, it's more about you have figured out a niche, you got the traffic, now it's what's the best offer for the traffic. That's interesting. All right. All right, here we go. Duplicatable if in a single niche. Right, so once you do the work once, right, it's somewhat easy to be able to pick it up, right, and move it to another city, another city, another city, another city, right? So easier to scale, okay? Feels good to give a contractor a good lead that makes them money. Definitely agree with that. Very easy to set up. Yep. Because it's the easiest to sell. Okay. Pay-per-call gets customers coming in very quickly. It's what everybody wants, results. It's a win-win. What's up, what's up? Good to see you, Jeff. I got 2 clients in the towing niche, very quickly, fast results. We can provide immediate results versus waiting, low risk for the clients. All right. All right, great. All right, here we go. I'm surprised it took this long to get to. All right, owning the lead gen properties, right? So basically owning assets. Okay, so at the end of the day, for me, I thought this would have came a lot earlier in the conversation. And this is why I wanted to kind of talk through a lot of these points with you guys, because my opinions may be a little different than you guys. Just being in the industry so long, and also just my point of view versus yours, right, can be different. So at the end of the day, one of the biggest reasons that I got into pay-per-call was owning assets. And for me, it's just the simple idea that once I get something set up, I can replicate it over and over and over. Okay, so that's the first thing. But the second thing is that if a client left me, let's say that I was working in the roofing niche and in Jacksonville. If I was getting leads in Jacksonville for roofing, right, and a client left me, I didn't have to go get a client from scratch and then start doing fulfillment from scratch again. Right, and that's what would happen with PPC or SEO, right? Instead, I just go find a new client and I say, look at what I'm doing. This is what I was doing for XYZ, right? And I sell them the existing lead volume and lead flow that I already have built, right? And because of that, I'm not starting from scratch again. Okay, good stuff. Easy to show ROI. Seems more ethical. Don't have to babysit quite so much. Okay, so Aaron says, my biggest obstacle is getting the most money per lead. We are going to crush that today, Aaron. All right, great. So we're going to keep layering on here. So I try to take all the questions that I thought that you guys would have when I was planning out this webinar, and I try to put them in a logical sequence where we're kind of going through some basics, right? And we keep stacking and stacking and stacking, all right? So next up. All right. Give me a little bit of feedback in the chat. If you have sold a pay-per-call deal, at least one, I don't care if you were able to fulfill on it, if it went great, if it went bad, if you crushed it, it doesn't matter. If you have ever sold a pay-per-call deal, give me a 2 in the chat. Okay, whether I helped you and I trained you, I gave you the script, right? Or whether you did it for yourself, right? It doesn't matter. Okay, have you sold a pay-per-call deal? All right, lots of 2s. Okay, great. So I want to teach you guys the top angles that we have used to sell pay-per-call. Okay, and I just want to zoom out. Okay, if you've been in our pay-per-call mastermind, and this isn't a pitch for that, right? But if you've been in there before, I give you literally the scripts. Here's email scripts, here's phone scripts, here's everything, right? Complete A to Z. But what I don't do so much is zoom out and really talk about why we use the angles that we use. Okay, and I think that that is uber important, because if I arm you guys with the angles, right, then you guys can start to use your brains and come up with more ideas, right? But if I just give you the scripts and you just roll in like a crash test dummy and you're just saying the words, you don't really understand the context, right? That's not going to, you know, quote unquote, teach you to fish, right? I want to teach you guys to fish. Give me a 3 if that makes sense. Does that make sense real quick? What's up, Chris Vise? Good to see you, homie. All right. So I thought it would be really cool to share with you guys the pitches, the angles that we use for the pitch. So, and I'll throw you a couple curveballs here, all right? So when we send cold emails, how am I gonna organize this on the screen? Let's just do this. So when we send cold emails, basically the way that we come across in the angle is that we're just an expert in the niche. We talk about basically the formula goes something like this. So we talk about a problem. We show a case study that kind of shows that we've been able to solve, right, the problem. We talk about the solution, right? And then we ask if they want to talk to us. Okay. So it's really that simple. That outline right there, that high level outline for cold emails has generated literally hundreds of thousands of booked appointments in pay-per-call. Okay, seriously. And other verticals too. It doesn't just work for pay-per-call. So if you're joining us today and on the odd chance you want to send some cold emails, but you don't want to do it for pay-per-call, use that. Crushes it. Works like gangbusters. I know it's simple, but it works so well. So an example of this, a real life example. Let's just walk through, and I'll give you guys a real life example. We'll kind of spitball it, if you will. So let's say that we are going after, say we're going after restoration and water damage. One of the biggest niches that I've shared with you guys in the past that we have crushed it with, generated tens and tens of thousands of phone calls in the water damage niche, and you guys have just, our community has crushed it in that vertical as well. In that vertical, the big pain point for restoration and water damage companies is that it either quote unquote rains, right? Or when it rains, it pours. There we go. When it rains, it pours. Okay, so it's either like dead or there's a lot of work. Okay, so consistency for water damage companies and restoration companies is a biggie. They don't have consistency, right? It's like, it's slow, and then it's like all out hell, the phone won't stop ringing, they have too much business, they're turning it away, and they're losing money. Okay, that is, it's like feast or famine in that space all the time. Okay, so the big problem is consistency. Okay, so if we were reaching out to somebody in water damage, we would talk about that problem. Okay, I know in water damage, okay, the biggest issue that I see when talking with water damage companies like yours every day is the consistency, right? Being able to grow consistently and get leads consistency is key. Okay, then I go on to share a case study. In fact, in Miami last week for ABC client, we were able to generate 2 calls a day on average for the last 7 days. Okay, and then we would say, we'd love to work with somebody like you. Do you think that this is something you'd be interested in? Right, like it can be literally that simple. Okay, could we help you get more consistent leads? If so, let's chat. Guys, it's literally that simple. I'm doing that niche now. Hey. Can we use recorded calls to show it's real? Of course, you just got to give consent or get consent. So you need to say on the recording of the call before you start recording that you will be recording the call. You can look that up. Some states are one party consent, some are two-party consent, but you can look up that. You just need to know what to look up, right? So look up like phone call recording party consent, and you'll see what state you're in, etc. And that's the legalities of it. All right, so give me a 4 if you guys could write a cold email right now to go pitch some pay-per-call based upon what I just shared with you guys, right? Like it's literally that simple. Okay, and not just for pay-per-call, guys. This is what I call the expert formula, right? This is my cold email expert formula. And it's just the type of email that I use, right? So often when I go in a niche, when I don't really have any offers yet, I haven't figured out everything. It's just like, yep, I want to start working with this niche, right? Oftentimes the first angle that I'm going to use is the industry expert, okay? Which we just went through. All right, so the next angle, where are my notes here? All right, so the next angle, so directly to the customer, this could be cold email or cold call. The other kind of angle that we use in pay-per-call that we've had great results with is just saying, I have customers looking for whatever, looking for a, and then whatever niche you're going after, right, as a foot in the door. Okay, so I have water damage customers looking for a restoration company to help them, right? That angle, and then basically, again, is this something you'd be interested in? Can you take on more customers? If so, reply to the email, or if so, can I speak with whoever's in charge of marketing or production? That's it. So okay, so here's an example. And again, this can be done via cold email or via a cold call. Give me a 5 if you guys understand the direct to customer approach, the second approach that I'm sharing with you guys right now. Okay, this works again, cold emails or direct to customer. Fucking love it, Andrew says. I'm glad you fucking love it, brother. If I've already given more value than any other pay-per-call training that you guys have purchased or went through in the past, give me a 1 in the chat. That would be great. But I know people out there selling $500, $600, $700 courses that aren't even as good as this. Just saying. All right, so next up, okay, is the referral method. Okay, so with the referral method, if I could spell right, referral method. With the referral method, we do basically the same thing that we have here. Copy and paste. I have customers looking for a, can you recommend a niche who could handle extra business and would actually answer my clients' phone calls and do a great job for them. All right, so let me tell you how this works. Okay, the referral method Folks, I don't care what niche you work in, this referral method could work. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to target, how should I do this? You're going to target businesses who already do business with the niche you want to target. So let's say you're working with roofers. You'd call up roofing supply companies and you'd say, yeah, hey, Ryan, I have customers in the Atlanta area that are looking for a roofing company. Could you recommend 3 roofers who could handle the extra business and would actually answer my clients' phone calls and, you know, do a good job for them? And they're going to say, yeah, we don't do that. We're a supply company. Yeah, I know, Ryan, but could you? And then just ask the question again. Could you recommend 3 roofing contractors who could handle the extra business and, you know, would actually answer my clients' phone calls and do a great job for them? 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you a referral. 9 times out of 10, they're going to give you a referral. Okay, so in this example, you could do like supply companies. Okay, so if we're doing roofing, a roofing supply company, I was just at, and I talk about this on all my AMAs because I'm always there. I was just at a cryosauna place or cryotherapy place. Their vendors are the people that sell them the units. Their vendors are the people that, the actual freezing machines themselves, and then also the gas, right? They use to freeze. So it would be those 2 vendors, for example. You could target as well, you could work with people, you could work with other marketing companies, right, that already have this niche as a customer. You could work with print companies that focus on that vertical. You could work with software companies, right, that specialize in the niche that you're going to target. Does this make sense? Give me a 4 if this makes sense. Jason Ma says, I can't believe you're sharing this freely. Shh. This is it, folks. This is it. I'm going to teach you how to do this shit. There isn't any reason that you guys, by the end of this call, whether you've sold a pay-per-call deal or not, can't go sell a pay-per-call deal today or tomorrow. Okay, and if you've already done that and you're looking to scale, I'm going to teach you guys how to do this shit the right way so that you guys don't sell deals that will fall apart as soon as they're signed. That shit happens all the freaking time. Great idea. So Isaiah, I just want you to know, I appreciate your comment, right? Great idea, but this isn't theory. Okay, we've used this ourselves in-house to generate a shitload of appointments with local business owners to sell them pay-per-call and other services. I've also taught a lot of you guys to do the exact same thing, and you guys have scheduled a shitload of appointments with local businesses following literally word for word the strategies. Okay, what I'm doing now is kind of zooming out for you guys and teaching you guys the angles. Okay, teaching you guys the angles. I want to teach you guys to fish, right? I want to teach you guys how to do this. So if one of them stops working, you can very easily adjust and come up with another script. Sorry, I muted myself. Just coughing like crazy. If you guys can hear me again in the chat, let me know. Give me 1 in the chat. Woo! Well, I almost pass out right in front of all you guys. Oh, man. All right. So these angles, if you just swipe and deploy, build you a 7-figure business, no problem. But I want to help you guys take it past that. Not only want you guys to be able to sell, but I want you guys to be able to retain. And I've learned a boatload about retaining customers. And retaining customers often comes down to how you sell. Does that make sense? Give me a 2 if that makes sense. Give me a 2 if you guys understand that retaining customers often comes down to how you sell in your sales process. If you're having audio problems, try signing out, signing back in, or just changing the audio, right? Go to, dial in over the phone and then just switch it back. Okay. The number one quality control issue with customers leaving and quitting in the first 30, 60 days, the number one issue is how you sold the deal, okay? So we call this selling with quality, all right? And when we teach people a sales process, there's things that we teach in the sales process that we gotta make sure happened, things that the customer agreed to, that the customer understood, the expectations that were set. And if things are skipped and if things are missed, then we onboard the customer, right? Then the customer doesn't know what to expect. They think that they're getting their first call tomorrow when it could be 2 weeks from now. That alone can be a disaster and a reason that people call up and say that they want to quit. So you should have a checklist that you run through. Okay, whenever you're onboarding a customer or a salesperson of yours is onboarding a customer, that is simply all about checking for quality. Does the customer know this? Do they know this? Do they know this? Do they know this? Do they know this? Right? And all those things that they need to understand in order for them to have a good customer experience. And I don't mean that you hide it in a contract, right? And then they don't see it, right? And then they get mad and they want to quit anyway, right? Like we want to avoid that shit. Okay, so one of the things that I would recommend, if you have a couple people doing sales, and then you have somebody on your team onboarding customers, that when your onboarding person brings them into the system, that they go back through that quality checklist and make sure that the person understands each and every one of those points, and that will extend the lifetime value of your customer 2 times, even 3 times, all beside itself. And that isn't just pay-per-call, right? That's selling any services in general. Give me a 4 if that was valuable. Give me a 4 if that was valuable. I don't care what kind of B2B business that you have, you should be doing this. You should have a checklist to ensure that you're selling with quality, okay? And you should take that list and you should use it in onboarding as well to make sure that you're onboarding with quality. Now, if it's just you, right? If it's Jennifer or Carrie or Tammy and you're the salesperson, right? You're the person that's onboarding the deal. You're the person that's doing, your monthly check-ins or reporting, right? Then you don't need that, okay? But as you start to scale, you're going to need these systems and processes. And really, as an entrepreneur wearing all the hats, trust me when I say, like, putting this system in place is going to make your job a whole lot easier. All right. So back to the slide deck, since I completely got off track. These are the top angles to sell pay-per-call, okay? Looking at all of my pay-per-call deals that I've sold and that I've helped people sell, though, there is a problem. There is a problem. And I want to talk to you guys about the problem that I see. And it's just not just me and how I do it and how I've trained on it. It's how everybody talks about it. The fact of the matter is, I believe that 99% of you are selling pay per call wrong. So these angles, these could still be used, right? Just got to think through the process a little bit, all right? So I think that 99% of you guys are selling pay-per-call wrong. And the reason is, most of you guys, if you looked at that selling with quality checklist, I'm sure that you'd see that 70, 80, 90, even 100% of the time, you sold deals without checking everything on that checklist. Okay, so from my point of view, from managing a sales team of my own to managing a sales team and having a mastermind running and them having sales teams and seeing what they're doing and listening to all those calls and seeing everything from a 5,000-foot view, right? 99% of you guys are doing it wrong. See, at the end of the day, us as marketers selling something, we're all super excited to get a yes, right? It's like, are they going to say yes? Are they going to say yes? Are they going to say yes, right? Like, that's the question, right? Like, most of us, 99% of us, aren't asking ourselves, right? Are they the right fit? Are they the right fit? How many of you guys, when you've sold a pay-per-call deal, have actually done due diligence? Give me some feedback in the chat. How many of you guys have done due diligence? Right? You've looked into the business. You've looked into the business owner. Are they reputable people? Do they have good reviews? Right? Do they have a marketing budget? Are they spending money online? Like, do they get it? Right? Or are they going to be a problem? So we've talked about the benefits, right, of pay-per-call. And we talked about how pay-per-call is so easy to sell because of all these things. I need you guys to understand that this can be a bad thing, right? Pay-per-call being so easy to sell can be a bad thing. Because it's results-based, because there's essentially no risk, because they're only paying for calls that you predetermine are going to be billed, right? Because it's as close to the transaction as we can get, because it's easy to explain, because there's no waiting time. Can you guys now see how you could be potentially selling pay-per-call wrong? Anybody should say yes, right? Literally anybody. Right? We had brand new salespeople just going through the sales process, first week, have never done sales before, literally just reading the script, closing deals at 50%. That's fucking unheard of. Is that a good thing or is that a bad thing? If retention's good, it's a great thing, right? But if the deals are falling out the back as fast as they're coming in the front, right, you're essentially just staying even as a company. You're not growing. Give me a 2 if this makes sense. Man, I can't spell. If you came to see some major spelling skills, you came to the wrong place. All right, lots of 2s. Okay, great. So here's what I need you guys to take away at the end of the day. At the end of the day, with this point, the ones who have said yes probably aren't the right fit. Probably aren't the right fit. You sold them this magic pill, this get-rich formula. It's going to work tomorrow, right? There's no upfront investment, right? Like I'm just going to turn on the faucet. It's going to completely change your business, right? You've done no vetting. Trust me when I say I've been there. I've dealt with this. I fixed this. Tried lots of ways to fix it, but it's ultimately selling with quality and then having systems in the back end in terms of account management to ensure that you can retain customers. If this is an aha moment, give me a 3 in the chat, please. Give me a 3 in the chat. I want to make sure that this sinks in. At the end of the day, pay-per-call is the easiest thing to sell. It is so sexy, it is so attractive, but because of that, it's almost too easy to sell. And what I find happening is people aren't doing due diligence. They aren't making sure that it's the right fit. They aren't telling people no if they're not a good fit. Just yes, 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 and promising the world because they're so excited to get a sale, right, that they can't smell that shit's weak and something's wrong and that the deal's going to fall apart faster than you just sold it. So you can get a whole lot better results if you just implement, right, some checks and balances in the front in terms of selling with quality and building out that checklist, right? So for example, should I go there yet? Hang on, guys. Let me look at my notes. All right, let's go here. I'm going to kind of give this away. How many of you guys understand what a foot in the door offer is? Give me a 1 in the chat. Or a tripwire, right? Or it's just simply, guys, the first thing that you sell to a prospect. Yeah, it's easy to understand. I don't think that you should be selling pay-per-call as your foot in the door offer ever. Why? Because of what we just talked about on the last slide. Because most people don't do good enough due diligence. They just say yes to the deal. It's the first time talking to a prospect. They have no idea if the prospect understands what a lead is worth, if the customer is going to be a good customer, are they going to pay you on time, are they going to return your phone calls? There's no lead value benchmark, right? What's a good lead? What's a bad lead? What is the right price for a lead? All these things lead to a fucking disastrous relationship. And trust me when I say, right, when there isn't 3 months to wait for something, right, and it starts happening a week from them coming on board and they start getting the phone calls and everything else, right, things get real quickly, right? When they see the quality and it's not what they expect, they're out the door. So here's the thing. When you sell leads, even if you define, paste and match style, Jesus. Even when you define what lead quality is and when you're going to bill, right? So for us, we say it's got to be over 30 seconds unless it's a missed call, right? The person has to be in your territory, which is in their county, right? And the person has to be wanting to do business with you. And then basically based upon the niche, we make some other very minor tweaks, right? So if we're in, if we're in roofing and somebody is wanting a tile roof in that area of the country, nobody sells tile roofs or does work on tile roofs, we'll make that exception, right? But all those exceptions are laid out beforehand, okay? But there are very little exceptions, okay? And we will say this is exactly what a billable call is. The problem at the end of the day is that there's no benchmark. They aren't holding that call to anything else, right? They're not saying, Joe, you sent these calls and this were the attributes of the calls and I'm comparing it to this. They're just comparing it to referrals and made up fucking bullshit. Okay, what's a good lead? What's a good price? You have to have a benchmark. If you don't have a benchmark, if there is no benchmark in place, okay, Your prospect will always be complaining. And if they're not complaining, they're always trying to negotiate cheaper, 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 and better, better, better. Why? Because simply there's nothing to compare it to. Give me a 1 in the chat if that makes sense. Please give me a 1. Is this hitting home? For those of you guys that have been in this business, this should be hitting home big time. I should be like striking a chord. Like I'm hitting your muscle and digging in and you're like, fucking stop it, right? This is a huge fucking issue in the industry and nobody fucking talks about it. So why is there no benchmark? The fact of the matter is there's no benchmark because there's nothing to benchmark it to. How many of the customers that you have sold in the last 12 months have a good understanding of their cost per acquisition for a qualified lead based upon how we just defined it a couple of minutes ago? How many? What percent? Let me know in the chat. 1%? 2%? 0%? Shit, my father's company, right? Like, I'm a marketer. I preach this shit all day long, right? I teach you guys this shit. My father hears me rant about this stuff, right? And he owns a roofing company. They understand overall their CPA on a gross level for all traffic sources combined. That's it. They don't know what came from what. They're guessing kind of halfway on the other stuff, right? They don't even know. So I want some feedback from you. What percentage of your customers know how much they're paying right now for a qualified lead? None. 5%, 0, absolutely none. 90%. 90, John, I don't believe it. Right? 1% if they're on it, Chris says. 10% of the successful ones. 0% of the other. Love it, Lee. 0. Very, very few. Even the companies that I've thought when I've met with them, like, man, these guys are freaking on top of it. Like, there's some smart people and they're getting it and they're scaling. They're doing, $20 million. And I really talk to them and I really dig in after time of being a customer, right? Months and months and months. I find out that they don't really get it as much as I thought that they did. So the takeaway here, if you guys are selling pay-per-call and you're not benchmarking, you are screwing yourself. You are screwing yourself. There is very little for you to stand on. Customer says it's too expensive. How are you going to rebut them? Like, you're going to show them the facts? Like, that's not going to help. Right? I've literally opened up AdWords and said, they're like, you're too expensive. And I'm like, all right, Bob, I'm not sure what else to say here. Right? I literally haven't made $1 since we turned on your campaign. Check this shit out. Oh, yeah, well, it's too expensive. Give me a 9 if you guys understand that you have to have a benchmark. And it needs to be a benchmark that they have paid for. They understand those numbers. They're black and white, right? And your benchmark is that, right? And it's the same criteria. It's a greater than 30-second call. It's this, it's this, it's this. And that's my criteria, and that's this criteria that we've already tested and benchmark, right? Bob, if I can do better than that, and I can get you some volume, are you interested in spending some money with me for pay-per-call? Yes, sir, right? That needs to be your pitch now. If not, you are wasting your time, your effort, your resources, your money. I didn't get near as many 9s as I should have. If you're selling pay-per-call, you better be doing this. You can also go apply this to other things though, right? When you're talking with a prospect and let's say that you're doing SEO for them and you're sharing with them your results and what you've done for them, what do you need, right? You need a benchmark. You need to be able to show them what it's doing compared to their pay-per-click. So when you ask for a raise and you upsell them to another service or to do more of what you're already doing, they're easily going to say yes, but you got to have a freaking benchmark and you got to be talking dollars and cents, right? You need something to compare it to. I really hope that this is sinking in. Really, really hope that this one is sinking in for you guys. All right, we are officially an hour into the webinar and I'm about halfway done. I'm about halfway done. I'm going to go ahead and apologize in advance. I understand if you need to go right now. I'm not done. It's going to be a while. I would guess I probably got another 30, 40 minutes, maybe even an hour, depending on your questions. If you got to bounce right now, I completely understand. If you're willing to stick around with me and keep going, give me a 2 in the chat, all right? Get a quick head count here. As long as like 50, 60% of you guys are willing to stay, I am more than willing to keep hanging out with you guys and dropping knowledge for you. Let me know, let me know, let me know. This isn't some ploy, right? I want to be respectful, but if everybody's going to get off, right, then we can do this another time. All right. I'll be here till the end. Let's roll. All right, mostly 2s. All right, fantastic. Good shit. For those of you guys that have to go, I understand. It's all right. You guys can jump off. All right, we're going to keep going. All right, so next up, I want to talk about the problem with selling before you know how to fulfill. Give me a 1, and it's okay. I won't give you guys shit, I promise. Give me a 1 in the chat. Give me a 1 in the chat if you guys have sold a pay-per-call deal without knowing how you were going to fulfill. And I guess for some context here, here's the thing, like selling SEO and not knowing exactly your like game plan on how you're going to fulfill is one thing, right? Because you're going to like build links and work on page. Like there's some obvious things, like it's going to just require you rolling up your sleeves and outsourcing some stuff if you want, right? Selling SEO before you know how to, or selling pay-per-call before you know how to fulfill, like that's a freaking disaster, right? That's a recipe for just car bomb. Like, yeah. Sell before you know how to fulfill. Yeah. So if you don't know how to fulfill, what have you guys been taught to do for fulfillment? So-and-so teaches to sell before you know how to fulfill. So give me some feedback in the chat. How do they tell you to fulfill then? How do they tell you how to fulfill? What do they tell you? Outsource. There aren't many people that are going to do pay-per-call for you, Frankie, and that are going to guarantee whatever terms that you came up with that customer. AdWords. Call-only ads. Arbitrage. All right, so guys, give me some feedback in the chat. How many of you guys have went and sold a pay-per-call deal and then tried to fulfill with AdWords or call-only deals? Give me a 2 in the chat. Give me a 2. Come on, I need some more 2s. Let's go. How many of you guys have sold a pay-per-call deal and then went and attempted to fulfill on that deal with Google Ads, Google AdWords, right, or call-only ads through Google Ads or Bing Ads, right? Yeah. So lots of 2s. How many of you guys have been majorly fucking upside down when you did that? How many of you guys have been majorly fucking upside down when you did that? Like, not like you broke even, like you lost $500 on $1,000 in spend, right? You lost 300 bucks. You lost $1,000, right? How many of you guys have been completely fucking upside down? And this fucking pisses me off. How many of you guys have literally lost your ass on this shit? It is fucking ridiculous. This is the biggest fucking lie in the entire space. You can tell I'm a little emotional about it, right? Hell yes, lost my shit badly. Had to drive Uber to pay off my AdWords bill. Currently describes my situation right now. Yes, I fucking lost my ass. I wasted a lot of time and money. Guys, I can tell you that when I've done it like that, me, Joe Troyer, the man, the myth, the legend, I've lost money 95% of time. 95%. Knowing everything that I fucking know. And here I thought it was just me, Lonnie says. No, fucking frustrating. So the problem, and I'm sorry guys for the rant, but this shit drives me bonkers. I see people talking about this literally on a daily basis, and it's just, it's like everybody's opinion. Well, you could just go do call-only ads and it'll work out fine. Good luck. Like, everybody takes it as fact because one person had a campaign one time that actually made a profit, right? So at the end of the day, the problem with selling before you've done fulfillment and you've figured out how to deliver calls as a profit, again, is at the end of the day, there's no benchmark of price. There's no benchmark. There's no benchmark on quality. There's no benchmark on price. And at the end of the day, you're going to sell yourself short every time. Right? So you're like, all right, I'm going to go after roofers. I'm going to use call only to fulfill, and I'm not going to get stuck in the details. I'm just going to freaking go for it, and I'm going to go sell this shit. I have no idea how I'm going to do the call only, but it'll work, right? You're brave. You go sell the shit. I got to give you props. Like, you took action. You took massive action, which is amazing. Okay? Now I want to teach you how to swerve a little bit, right? How to change up just a little bit, so you guys can win this deal. Okay? You guys interested in this? Is this the good shit? Give me a 3. Give me a 3 if this is the good, right? If this is the best webinar you guys have been on for pay-per-call ever, give me a 3 in the chat. I want to fucking know, because I'm literally turning over every bullshit, bunk, and myth in the entire fucking space. Had it! People lying their asses off. Don't sit well with me. All right. So at the end of the day, we got to get the benchmark. Okay? You got to get the benchmark. If you don't have the benchmark, you're losing money every time. Every time. Okay? So you can kind of do the obvious, right? Like, the first way is you can get a snapshot of their current stats, right? Right, so you could look at their AdWords account, you could look at their Bing account, or you could combine some data, you could really look into things and listen to some phone calls, and you could aggregate that all together to come up with what you thought was a fair price per qualified call. What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? What's the problem with that? Ed says, feels like the first time I've been given truth. You guys better be joining me like freaking every single Wednesday after today's all out freaking webinar. I should have just charged you guys $500 to be here. Best webinar from you yet. Damn, Andre. The call only ad clowns are going down. Problem with this is Frankie is always here. You are always here. What's the problem with this right here? What's the problem with you going and rolling up your sleeves and getting a snapshot of their stats, right? And getting that benchmark, right? And the benchmark really, guys, is a qualified call. Is what you guys should be selling. And a qualified call should be 30 plus seconds unless the call hit voicemail. Why? Because you can't check for intent. Not everybody's going to leave voicemail, and you shouldn't get penalized for them not answering the phone. There's intent from the consumer for industry services, and they're in the, for me, I always sell territories as counties. They're in the county that the customer signed up for. Okay, and this could be multiple, but some are only one counties, right? So this is a qualified call. So at the end of the day, we're trying to get a benchmark for a qualified call, okay? So the first way that you could do it is based upon a snapshot of a customer's current steps. What's the problem with that? Come on, I need you guys thinking. What's the problem with that? You guys already told me that nobody has this shit set up, right? How many of the people that you talk to have call tracking set up? How many of them are using dynamic keyword insertion, right? How many of them are using dynamic referrer tracking, right? The data isn't accurate, or they have no freaking data. Can I get a 0 from everybody in the chat that you guys get this? Right? Like, and if you tried to do number 1, you would have all kinds of problems getting it done, right? They wouldn't let you do it. They'd just be standing in the way. And if they actually let you do it, you should charge a whole lot of money for that. Give me a 0 if that makes sense. Give me a 0. Yeah. All right. So there's no data. Right? Problem with this is that there is no data based on their current stats. They're not tracking the fucking right things. Right? So the other way, how many of you guys know the answer to this? Because you've been on the AMAs, you guys have been paying attention, you guys have actually heard me talk about the correct way to sell pay-per-call. I answered this in the last couple of weeks, by the way, folks. But nobody fucking saw it. You're not paying attention. What's the right way to do this? What's the right way to benchmark? Yeah, Isaiah Adams, you got it, brother. All right, so the correct way to do this, we run a 30-day test. Okay, this is the way that we do it. Okay, we run a 30-day test. They cover spend, okay, for the ads. We cover setup, setup and testing for the 30 days. So this is what we do. We pitch them a 30-day test. And guys, I will give you guys the details on exactly how to pitch this. I just need you guys to understand that this is the way to benchmark and high level how we're going to do this. Once you understand that, give me a 1 in the chat and we will move on. I will not move on until you guys get this, okay? So the way that we benchmark is we run a 30-day test, okay? They cover Google ad spend, okay? We set up the account, okay? We set up the account, we set up all the ads, we run the testing, and we manage that thing for 30 days for free. They just cover Google ad spend. Does that make sense? Give me a 1 if that makes sense, please. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Yes, paid ads. They pay the ad spend, Larry. All right, lots of ones. Looks like everybody's got it. All right. So Isaiah has a good question. He says, so if I already have sites ranking and generating calls, I need to scrap that for now and offer the 30-day trial, right? Yes, you are correct. So this is how you're going to qualify people, is you're going to take them through this benchmark test. Okay, the benchmark test is going to let you know if they're a good customer, how they work with you, right? Do they pay, Google on time, right? And you're going to get an acceptable price at the end of the day. You're going to have Google stats. How many of you guys have sold a pay-per-call deal and you become the enemy? Give me a 2 if you become the enemy. It's just too expensive, man. I'm getting leads for better prices everywhere else, and man, you're killing me. I need this for my business, but I got to get better quality, and I just can't pay as much. And you're the enemy, right? Yeah. So you know how to not be the enemy? You benchmark, right? We're gonna let Google be the enemy. We're going to let Google be the enemy. We're going to get the benchmark from Google. Okay, and at the end of the 30-day test, we're going to show them, right? We're going to boil down with them how much a qualified call was. I'm going to repeat that. Once the 30 days is over, okay, we're going to break down the stats for them. Okay, so once the 30 days is over, we're going to break down the price, okay, per qualified call. Okay, it's uber important. As soon as you hit day 30, as soon as the day is ending, you want to stop the ads after day 30. Why? Because your client is starting to rely on this, right? Your client is starting to see this happening all day, right? Every day. Oh, I got a lead yesterday. Oh, I got a lead today. It's getting better and better. The quality is getting good. I like this, right? You want to stop the ads after day 30. Why? So that there's a reason for the prospect to meet back with you to talk about how you're going to move forward together. Okay, so basically after day 30, you break down the stats, you get on the meeting with your client, okay, you break down the stats to come to the price per qualified call. And guys, you need to walk your customers through this so that they understand it, okay? Mr. Prospect, in order for us to always be talking about the same thing, we need to define what a qualified call is, right? And you're just gonna simply take them through this. Right? Mr. Prospect, you would agree that that is a qualified call, correct? They're going to be like, yeah, that's a qualified call. Great. Okay. Then you're going to take them through the numbers and you're going to show them the details of how you came up to this. Okay. Then you're going to very simply offer to lock the prospect in at this price. Right? So if it's a roofer and the price per qualified call was $100, you're going to offer to lock the prospect in at this price. Give me a 1 if that makes sense. You understand how to technically do the benchmarking process now. And you will make yourself a whole lot more money and unfuck yourself starting from today. Good shit. Okay. So, how we do this now? We need to talk about a couple things. Logistics, we need to talk about, and then we also need to talk about, so logistics, like how we actually do it, The devil's in the details. We want to flesh those out a little bit. And we also want to talk about the sales pitch. You guys want this, right? You guys want me to teach you logistically how to do this so that you retain control. You get all the benefits of being a pay-per-call company, right? You get all the benefits of having this data benchmarked, and you know exactly how to pitch this. Guys, I'm leaving it literally all on the table for you guys today. This is it. This is freaking it. Okay, this is my last 10 years in the business, me taking everything that I've learned and literally cherry picking and giving you guys exactly what you need to do to build a huge pay-per-call company. Great. So we got a lot of feedback. All right, so how many of you guys have sold yourself short on pay-per-call deals, right? You just didn't know better, and so you went and sold a roofer $50 a lead, and I just said 100, and you went, wait, what? How many times has that situation happened? Quite a few, right? I am sure quite a few. In our mastermind, it happened all the freaking time. It was normal to sell water damage when we first started at $100 a call, right? Throughout the mastermind, that went to 150 to 200 to 250 to 300 to 350 to $425 a call. And people were buying. You guys have to understand that you have to have a benchmark. So there was no benchmark. We were just picking a number that we picked out of the sky, right? Like that was it. And that's what everybody does. That's not how you do it. You sell the test always, not once in every location, not once in every location in the niche, right? Every fucking time, okay? You have to sell that benchmark, the 30-day test, okay? That is what you have to do. That is sale number one. So that becomes your foot in the door offer, okay? If the client does well with that, if they work out, if they pay on time, right? They pay Google, their credit card goes through, you like working with them. They're not a fucking asshole, right? You can stand them. You want to speak with them every month. They're good people, right? Then and only then do you upsell them pay-per-call. Okay, so logistics, the way that we go about this is we own the account, the AdWords account. Okay, this 30-day test that we do is on our AdWords account. Okay, we do call only ads, only. Okay, why? So this can help us pay less for a call. Okay, so that is definitely part of the reason. It's not in every circumstance though. Some circumstances we have campaigns that maybe they don't do a ton of volume, but you know they do cost less. There's a CPA that's lower than call only ads. So that's not the full reason. Really the reason is that we need 0 landing pages. How many of you guys in here are fucking conversion rate optimization experts? How many? I can tell you guys that I'm not. I suck at that shit. I really do. I can tell you guys what's worked for me, right? But at the end of the day, every time I go into a new niche and I go into a new vertical, you have a learning curve, right? And at the end of the day for local, let's say that you have a 10% conversion rate on your landing page. That's good, right? You guys would be happy with the 10% conversion rate, right? Give me some feedback in the chat. Heyo. Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, with call only, you're only paying when somebody hits the call button. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't hang up right away. So you're not gonna have like 100% conversion, okay? But we can easily say that on like worst case scenario, that we're gonna have a 33% conversion. So when they hit that call button is when you get charged, right? 1 in 3 of those calls should be a qualified call. So do you guys want 10% conversion or 3% conversion? There's still a lot of volume as well that you're missing out if you only go after call only. Okay, but it's the way to get calls coming, and you don't have to build out landing pages, and it gets you calls quickly, and it'll be a decent CPA, which is good. You don't want to give your customer, like, if you want to sell a roofer, you don't want to show them a $300 CPA, right? You want to show them what's appropriate. Oh, it's 150 bucks, right? It's 125 bucks. If you have to build out landing pages, it's going to cost a whole lot more money. And the way that we pitch this is we do the setup. We build out everything. We do the maintenance for the month. You as the customer, all that you have to do, okay, is cover the ad spend. We're going to put our money where our mouth is. We're working for free to prove to you that we're good at our job. Okay. Yep, Andrew. So when we bring them on as a customer, we get their credit card information, okay, and we put that into Google on behalf of the customer. So customer pays with credit card. Awesome. So this is the logistics. So every time you go into a niche, folks, you're going to do this build out. Okay, but once you do this build out once, you can basically copy and paste the entire campaign structure, ads, and everything into a brand new account when you go and you sell your next deal. So when you do your optimizations, when you build out a negative keyword list, when you're running the account, right, it's going to get better. You can just keep using that same set of ads and campaign structure over and over and over for each and every client that you bring on to do a 30-day test. So really, you only pay for that setup one time. So let's say that you don't like AdWords, you don't like Google Ads, you don't want to do fulfillment, and that's why you've been buying all these shiny freaking objects. No problem. You don't have to here. Okay? You need to find somebody to do Google Ads for you though. Okay? So you're going to have them do it for this first customer. Let's say you go into roofing. You go into roofing, you sell a customer a 30-day test, right? Which is easy. They're just paying for ad spend. They're not paying you anything, right? Then you're going to pay for the setup, okay, of the pay-per-call or call-only campaign via Google Ads, okay? There are zero landing pages, so you don't have to pay for that. Makes sense. Give me a 1 if everybody's on the same page. So maybe you'll pay 500 bucks for the first one to be set up like really freaking well. Then when you go in a new location, all that you're going to do is some bulk changes. I'm going to change out the geos and the targeting and the locations, right? I'm going to change out the phone number. I'm going to change out the website URL. All that stuff can be done in bulk, and you can literally write out a process for a VA to do it in literally 15 minutes. It's literally that simple. So once they're onboarded, are you still paying the spend with their credit card or yours? Great question, Lonnie. So once the 30 days is up, we've calculated the cost per lead. We've pitched them the new deal, right? They've accepted. Usually what we're doing is we're just locking the customer in at the rate. So if we come back and the rate is $125 per qualified call, we're going to lock them in at $125. Okay, the way that we're able to do that and still make margin is over time, guys, our ads are going to get better and better. Our click-throughs are going to get better and better, right? And we're going to be able to bring down that cost. Okay, and so right out of the gate, we probably have a 20%, 30% margin right away just because of the optimizations that we've done leading up to that 30-day point, right? The CPA that we're showing them is the aggregate for the 30 days, not the CPA for the last week. Okay, so once they become a client, you're going to move the billing to your credit card. Okay, so that brings up an important point, which is billing. Okay, whenever you sell pay-per-call, you should always be getting a retainer paid in advance. Okay, so you should be working like an attorney. When you go see an attorney, he's not going to bill you hourly. He's going to say, my starting retainer is $2,500. I bill at $150 an hour. When your retainer is depleted and there's no money left after me billing you at my $150 an hour, I'm going to refill the retainer at $2,500, right? We do the exact same thing. Why? We do this so that we're never in the rears, meaning our clients never owe us money. We always have that retainer that we're pulling from. Okay, I have seen way too many people get caught with their pants down and extend their client credit, and it just keeps extending, and it gets away from you as the entrepreneur because you're not a bill collector. And before you know it, you're screwed. How do I know it's happened? I had a client walk on me for about 30 grand. Okay, where basically they would pay for all their calls every week except for like 2 of them. Well, 2 a week, 3 a week, 4 a week. It just kept steadily growing, and over time, right? Them constantly being in the rears, they owed us roughly $30,000. Okay, so you always bill with a retainer in advance once you actually sell them on the pay-per-call deal. Aaron Garcia said he's still worried about local service ads cost per lead. Why? Does every local business owner that you know have local service ads? No. Do most of them even know about it? No. And if they do, frankly, Aaron, what you want is you want the person that's spending money everywhere, and all that they want, Aaron Garcia, is more. That is your best customer. I have a customer that spends money everywhere, okay? More money than you could even imagine on advertising for a local service business. It's fucking disgusting how much money they spend. He's my best customer. You know why? Because he knows his fucking numbers. There's a benchmark. He knows how much it costs to generate a lead. He doesn't care what the hell I do as long as I hit the benchmark. As long as I hit his benchmark, he's happier than a pig literally rolling in shit. That is your best freaking customer. So don't be concerned about LSA. Okay, so how we pitch this deal. How we pitch. So we're doing call-only ads, right? So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a formula that I use to help me with my sales pitch, right? When I'm prospecting. Okay, so when I'm prospecting and I'm giving a sales pitch, I always use this formula, and it helps me make sure that I kind of covered my bases, right? You ever leave a sales meeting and you're like, what the hell just happened? Like, did I even talk about that? Did I make a formal pitch? Did I talk about the price? Did I talk about the value, right? Did I give them a reason that it's different? That's all happened to you guys, right? Give me a 2 if that's happened. Yeah. I don't know who JL is, but that's not who I'm talking about. Similar vein, though, you could say. Who's JL? JL in the chat. Who are you? JL? All right, so I'm going to give you guys this formula, okay? And this is what I'm using on the free offer, right? So the offer is a 30-day market test, okay? So then the formula that we do is we give the retail value, okay? We're going to want to give them a reason, and then there's always going to be an ask. So for me, this comes down to RRA, right? Retail value, reason, and ask, all right? So you guys can use this when you're mapping out your pitch, okay? So how much do you guys think like a reputable, well-known agency that has results in a vertical, right? They're a good bulletproof agency, would charge to set up and run an AdWords campaign for 30 days? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. So think about it too. There's 99% of times there's going to be a setup, and then there's going to be the monthly fee. Monthly fee is typically going to be based upon spend. The more money that you spend, right, the higher the monthly fee is here. So, and then there's a minimum usually. So anybody that's worth a shit, right, running your ads should be charging a monthly fee of at least $750 a month. And guys, personally, I wouldn't take a client unless they're spending me thousands of dollars. They're spending with me thousands of dollars a month just on my fee, because otherwise it's not worth the time. Give me a 1 if that makes sense. Okay, so then setup, okay, when we do a setup, okay, usually we charge $1,000 for setup. Okay, so retail value would be $1,750. Okay, so we need to talk about this in a little bit more detail. What are we going to do in this 30-day market test? How do we make this sexy? So we're going to do a call-only market test. Okay, the advantages of call-only, right? I talked to you guys about, right? 33% conversion rate, right, versus a 10%, right? Give the prospect some ideas on what that means on cost per lead. Okay, retail value, this, setup is this, monthly fee is this. What's the reason that we're doing it? Give me a 2 if you're following. I'm sorry if I'm going fast. We're about to be 2 hours in and we still got a bunch to cover. I want to make sure that I get you guys as much as I possibly can. We're going to have to call it at 5 o'clock though. So the reason that we're going to put in here. Okay, so the reason can be all kinds of things. I like to say it's a beta program. Okay, or I like to say that whenever we go into a new niche, right, we need to run our benchmark, right? Or we can say that we're opening up a new product, or it's a new division of the company. This is our first time going after roofers, right? We're opening up a new division or a new, we're just now going after roofers, right? We can say that the reason is the benchmark test. Okay, and what we want to do at the end of the process is figure out how we can work together, right? So there's always got to be a reason. And at the end of the day, a lot of these things come back to just essentially saying earn your business, but giving a little bit more reasoning so that it's really believable. And I'm not trying to like pull a wool over a prospect's eyes. This should be a real fucking reason, right? But at the end of the day, what we want this to scream is that like we're going to do whatever we have to prove it to the customer and to earn their business. Give me a 2 if that makes sense. Please give me a 2 if that makes sense. I got to make sure that you guys understand this, or you guys aren't going to be able to jump on this. Okay. Then the ask. Okay. So because we're doing this and it's fucking amazing and it's going to get you amazing results, and I'm literally giving it to you for free. Yes, I know that's a spelling mistake, right? There's got to be an ask, or it feels like it's too good to be true. And a lot of people leave this out. They make an offer that's really good, but it just doesn't seem real. It seems too good to be true, right? So we need to have a reason in here. We need to have an ask. My ask is I want to deliver more content to you than anybody else in better quality, right? So that you guys are going to buy my shit in the future. So why am I running this webinar? To fucking blow you guys all away. Simple, right? But if I didn't give you guys the reason, it wouldn't make a whole lot of sense. You guys would leave here and go like, that seemed really good, but what the fuck? Like, why did he do that? Like, is he just full of shit? Right? But because there's an ask, it makes sense. There's a reason that I'm doing this. I'm not dumb, right? I'm going to pay it forward. Okay, so there's got to be an ask. Okay, give me some examples of an ask in the chat. What can we put here? And I want you guys thinking. I want you thinking through this process. What could an ask be? Let me know in the chat, please. All right, so water's out. Got some more coffee though. Yes, you guys have been on my trainings. Yeah. So you can ask for a referral. And if you're going to ask for one, right, ask for 3. Right? Guys, and the same earlier, I gave you guys that referral script to use when you're calling like supply houses and vendors, right? Don't just ask for 1. 1 is fucking weak, right? Ask for 3. Because the person that gives you 1 is probably going to give you 3 as well. You just need to ask for it. Okay? Don't be a pansy. Just freaking do it. Okay? Next up, you could ask for 3 referrals. You could ask for a review. You could ask somebody says testimonials. Right? So you say, Mr. Prospect, if this works, all that we ask, right, for you being part of this benchmark or part of this beta is that you give us 3 referrals and a testimonial. All right, awesome. Free hugs, yeah. Mr. Prospect, I will give you a virtual hug and I will grip you freaking hard. Scott Meadows, I love your personality, homie. So somebody says, a couple of people have said this, like they'll buy from us and they'll stay long term. That's kind of like a given, right? Throughout this whole thing, is like, I'm making you an amazing offer because I'm not stupid, right? It's kind of the angle, right? So then when you get down here to the ask, if you just say that, it kind of feels disingenuous. Like, you guys know me, so it's a little bit different, right? This isn't your first interaction with me. But if I hit you guys up cold, you'd be like, eh. But if I said, I'm doing this in exchange for 3 referrals, you'd be like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You give me a bunch of value. I like it. I dig it. I get something from it. I get a customer from it. Yeah, I'll give you 3 referrals. All right, great. So guys, this is it. So how we pitch. Who do we go after? We go after the niche that we want, and we go after people not doing call-only ads. So that's the prospects that we go after. This is our pitch right here. Ta-da. This is it. So, in a cold email, how many of you guys want a cold email for this? How many of you guys want a quick and dirty, over-the-shoulder cold email that you guys could use for this? Yes or no? If I get a ton of yeses, I'll do it. If not, we got to move on. Yeah. We're going to write a cold email on the spot. Okay. So you guys are going to fill in the blank here, right? With the niche, with the niche, with the niche. It's funny, everybody says this different. With the market, with the whatever type of businesses you guys decide to go after, right? And so our cold email is basically going to go something like this. We're going to call out the problem. Okay. And excuse me as I just kind of type and think away for a second, and then I'll run through it with you guys. So, Sorry for being awkward and quiet as I write this out. I'm getting close. Boom. All right, guys, it's like 99% of the way there. 99% of the way there. So, hey, Mr. Prospect, I know you don't know me from Adam. I couldn't help but notice that you are running Google ads, but you are not using call-only ads. Essentially, they're ads like this, and then I'd show them like a nice little GIF image, right, of you clicking on your phone, right, do a little recording session. If you don't know how to do it, outsource it, Fiverr probably for $5, right? Put in, you know, the search term, do a search, and then click on a call-only ad and have it pop up, right, and then hit the call. Okay, so you got the nice little graphic in there. Then you talk about why it matters. Okay, 33% conversion rate versus 10%. And then you give them an idea with and without call-only ads, right? What the difference would be in CPA. And then I'd say, as you can see, call-only has, you know, you really should be using call-only ads. Okay, I'm running a new division beta program, and we've decided to help one roofer in the greater Atlanta area set this up. So should be, there we go, Atlanta area, set this up and manage it for free. Typically, a professional marketing agency would charge a setup fee of $1,000 and a monthly maintenance fee of $750 to do this. I'd like to earn your trust and your business. All that I ask for is when we crush it for you, you give us 3 referrals and a testimonial. Will you give me a shot? And then I put my signature. Somebody says, any way you can show a sample GIF here? I mean, call only ads GIF. That's not it. This is exactly right what I do, and I'd show an example like this if I was going to outsource it, and then I tell them what keyword phrase to go do it for, right? Like literally that simple. Right, but basically it would be this, and then somebody would click this, and it would pop up, right? You guys can't see that very well. Right, the picture would be this, somebody would click on it, right? With that click, it would pop up like you're actually going to call the phone number, it would hit call, and the call would start, right? Like that's what the GIF would be. Okay, if you don't know how to do it, simple Google tutorial will teach you how. So now you guys know how to sell correctly, how to not screw yourself from a price standpoint, right? How to make sure that you guys are getting as much as you possibly can for each and every customer that you bring on. You've also pre-qualified them. You know how the customer is. You know if they're going to be a good customer. You know if they're going to be a pain in the ass customer. Okay, you know if you should even upsell them pay-per-call. Okay, this is it. This is how you do it, the 30-day market test. If you are doing pay-per-call in any other way, form, shape, or size, you are fucking it up point blank. Okay? Okay, what I want you to realize with this is that every single time, let's back up for a second. Give me a, man, we've used so many numbers today. Give me an 8. I don't think we've used 8. Give me an 8 if one of the things that you don't like about being in the marketing industry is that you don't have what you feel is like a lot of testimonials or social proof. Give me an 8 if that's true. Right? And I know that that's an issue. Okay, and you guys like to sell results because it's like proof in the pudding, right? It's like, I'm only going to charge you when you get real results. I get it. It's because you want to be fair, you want to be right, and you don't know as well how to answer that question all the time, right? So what I want you guys to understand is every time you give one of these away, a 30-day market test in a niche, you're getting a case study, right? You're getting social proof. That's yours. That's in your AdWords account. That's your data. You can then show the next prospect, yeah, we just kicked off a campaign last week for a customer, a brand new 30-day test customer in Chicago in that market, and check out what we're seeing, and you can like literally show it to them. Every single time that you just simply give away a 30-day test, there is another case study. Okay, so for those of you guys that feel like you can't do it because you need the case study, you're pitching something that's freaking free, and for every one that you give away, you are going to have a built-in case study. And guys, at the end of the day, to be frank, it doesn't really matter if you did a great job or you did a bad job. If you do call only, the math is on your side, right? Yes, okay? And your prospects really don't have anything to judge it against, right? They don't have that comparison. So it's like, oh, last week we generated, or in the last 2 weeks we generated 12 new roofing leads for this business. They're going to be like, that's freaking amazing. Understand that they don't know the numbers. So how many of you guys think that this week yet, the beginning of next week, you guys can give away some free 30-day tests? Scott, I'll answer that in just a second. Yes, yes, yes. I need some more yeses, man. Motherfucker, if I did this for 4 yeses, if I did this for 4 people only that are going to take action, it would still be worth it. But so many more of you guys better be telling me yes. Shit. Come on. Freaking 2-hour webinar. Okay. So what happens? What happens after pay-per-call in the 30-day test and you onboard the client? Well, you're going to still continue to run Google Ads, and you should be profitable week 1. Why? Because again, you're selling based upon the aggregate CPA, right? The CPA for the month versus the CPA for the last week. And as long as you're playing around with the bids and you're saying like, oh, somebody typed in iPhone water damage, and we don't do iPhone water damage. It's like water damage for houses, and right? Like, oh, negative match that. Like, if you just do some basic shit, right? Your CPA is going to come down. Okay, so that means by the end, your CPA, your cost per acquisition, is going to be less than it was the first week. Okay, so when you sell it for the aggregate for the month, right, you're instantly going to be profitable when you resell that and you get that retainer up front. Okay, now you can go take that money and you can reinvest it. So let's talk real quick, and then I'm going to end the call. One more topic. one more topic. Other traffic sources. So what is there besides Google Ads? What is there besides Google Ads? All right, so we got, oh, sorry about that. Let me turn that on, do not disturb. So what other traffic sources obviously are there? So guys, we have been very, very big in Google Maps. Okay, very big. In terms of long-term ROI from a traffic source, nothing has ever beaten it, right? So like initial work to get it up and ranked, and it takes time, yes. Okay, I would only do this once I have a client or two, little hint there, client or two in any given market, right? And they've been in there for a couple of months, right? I know that they're gonna stick around, then I'll build out an asset like Google Maps, right? Because it's gonna take time. For those of you guys though, I want to be 100% clear, 100% clear. If you go set up Google Maps, right, and you go through the verification process, you go build citations and everything else, you got to know, and I would think that this is obvious, but somehow it's not. You got to know that this is black hat. Why? And I just accidentally made a copy of the presentation for some reason. Why is this black hat? Because Google's terms of service says that you need to be an actual business, right? That your location, for example, needs to have somebody there if somebody goes to visit it. That it's an actual business, not a lead gen company. Okay, so I just want you guys to know that. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm not saying it's not a great tactic. I just want you guys to know that. I mean, it seems like we should know that by now, right? But you got to know that. Google Organic plays really well with Maps as well. It'll help bring you some calls, but it's not going to be anything earth-shattering. Maps is definitely going to bring a lot more volume than Google Organic. So I'm just going to make a comment here, less volume than Maps. And if you want to know what's black and what's gray, just go look at the terms of service, for example, on Google Maps. Go read through it. Go spend 15 minutes and just skim through it. Okay, I'm assuming that 99% of you guys probably haven't done that. Okay, you should know what's against their terms and what's not. Know that Google Organic, if you're building backlinks to rank on Google, you're technically gray hat or black hat, and that's against their terms of service, no matter how legitimately you do it. So for me, it's like, what spectrum of gray or black do you want to play on, right, is really just what you have to decide. If you're trying to rank in Google, technically it's going to be gray or black, right? Not really black, right? But there's way more black and aggressive techniques. So just to be clear, so Google Maps, I've had sites that have made me 3, 4, 5, even 10 grand a month. Am I saying this publicly? This is going live, right? All through Google Maps that were lead gen sites. Okay. Sorry, Google. So Google Organic has done very well for me over time as well, but not just, again, the takeaway is not near as much volume as Google Maps. Next up, and something that you probably wouldn't guess, but Craigslist has absolutely crushed it for me over the years. In the last couple of years specifically. When Craigslist moved to the services sections and some other sections being paid, if I can spell, that helped. It helped the quality. People now understand, right, that let me back up. So Google changed a lot of categories and services and areas that you post to that to being paid. You got to pay Craigslist to do it. Okay, so again, to post on Craigslist. When they did that, everybody was like all up in arms. I was fucking beyond stoked. And the reason is because the quality of the people posting on ads and the quality of the service for a long time was really shitty, right? Just You get in there though with a good ad, a good offer, and you could stay relevant and stay in the top listings without being spammed out. You would crush it on Craigslist just because everybody else was kind of garbage. So the provider level since it became paid has gotten a lot better. And you're not competing with near as many like really cheap people, right? It's like the job value is $1,000, people were doing it for $100, right? Like just crazy shit like that, unlicensed and just all kinds of crazy stuff. So Craigslist actually charging has actually helped tremendously. And there are ways to scale Craigslist and do volume. But again, you need to understand Google's terms of service and what's really allowed, right? Google doesn't want you posting in 30 cities across the United States, 5 times a day with the same ads, right? You're gonna have to change it up. Like you're gonna have to think it through. And again, read the terms of service. Okay, so Craigslist has crushed it. I have clients that, like one client billing 8, 9, 10 grand a month just from Craigslist. Yeah. So these are 3 traffic source. Another one that I'll talk about and I'll put at the top because it's quick is Bing. So if you are in an older demographic type of niche, Bing is great. Why? Because all these computers ship with Internet Explorer as the default search engine. Default, right? Default search engine, default internet provider, and the default search engine is Bing. Man, that was difficult, right? So you buy a Windows computer, it comes pre-installed with Internet Explorer and the preset search engine forever. They're changing it now, right? Or have changed it, but forever it was just Internet Explorer and Bing. Right? So Bing is the only way to get that traffic. So everybody else installs like new up-to-date browsers, so like Chrome or Firefox or Safari or whatever, right? So if you're trying to hit kind of that older demographic, Bing can be really, really great. So I find that it can be hit or miss. I have some niches that it does really well in, where it's actually cheaper than Google and provides some okay volume, and I have other niches that it like may bring in 2 qualified calls a month. Okay, so here are 4 traffic sources for you guys that you guys can go after. Woo! 2 hours of pay-per-call training in the books. Whew. Is that enough energy? Is that enough excitement? Is that enough Joe Troyer for one day? Shit. Does Bing do call-only ads? Basically their kind of version of it, Scott. Awesome, dude. Rick says, thank you very much, man. Austin says, what about Facebook? So at the end of the day, the niches that I target, the niches that I go after, that I've went after in my agencies that I've built and sold and exited, I've always went after, and always, I've tried other things, but then always moved back to really blue-collar types of niches. That's what's worked best for me. I like to be able to get kind of chest to chest with somebody, right? I like to be able to get a hold of people pretty easily. With white collar, that can be very difficult, okay? So because of that, the niches that I'm hitting are a lot of times like roofing and, all kinds of niches in that service industry, more blue collar, right? And so display ads don't really work very well. Like, can they work to build a brand and build a customer base and reactivate customers long term? Yeah, but nothing's gonna beat search traffic, right? Somebody has a problem, they need a solution right now, they go to Google, you show a good ad, they hit that call only ad, it converts like fucking gangbusters, you got them on the phone, right? You're getting paid, right? Like, if you try to go after that stuff with Facebook, like it's display advertising. You got to interrupt them. You got to have a great offer, right? You got to get them to act on it immediately. And then even once they give you their info and say that they want whatever amazing offer that you got to get them to actually fucking redeem the offer. And that's a whole nother challenge. So for me doing quote unquote call only, for me doing pay per call, I don't think pay per call works real well with Facebook traditionally. I'm not saying that as a blanket statement. prove me wrong, but go hit some of these other traffic sources first that are a little more tested and proven for pay-per-call. Woo! All right, so guys, that is it for today. I'm going to hit the chat for 5 minutes to respect your guys' time. One last quick thing before you guys leave, and you guys can jet, I understand, okay? If you guys are interested in joining the pay-per-call mastermind in the future, I've officially pulled up and set up an enrollment waiting list for you guys. And the URL is in the chat, and I'll go ahead and put it in again. So digitaltriggers.io/pay-per-call. This will be opening in the near future yet again, and we're gonna have some cool, interesting changes, so to speak. If you thought today was good, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. So again, digitaltriggers.io/pay-per-call. All right, so I'm going to jump into questions. Somebody said, I knew it's coming, so I don't even have a launch date yet. Really don't. So it is coming, but this isn't like some bait and switch where we're going to launch the mastermind next week, and so I just did that. So I know that it's coming. I'm trying to get, honestly, guys, the biggest issue is there's just so much fucking content. So the biggest issue is getting everything put together for you guys in a way that is easy for you guys to progress through and to get the bigger, higher level so that you guys can see, like, here are my options, right? Here are my chess pieces. Like, here's how I want to execute my plan, right? And for you guys to be able to find the topics and the training that makes sense to you guys. Like that training about selling with quality, we got it. Training about rebuttals, we got it. Scripts, we got it. Like, we have so much sales training and we have so many scripts and processes and everything. Like, it's fucking disgusting. Like, frankly, there's too much. So I have to figure out a way to make it easier for you guys to, depending on where you're at, kind of set up your own game plan and be able to pick and choose what you want. Does that make sense? Give me a 2 if that makes sense to you. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. And I don't want you guys to jump in and be like, holy shit, I'm fucking overwhelmed, right? Because that will happen, and that's why I haven't released yet, okay? Because we gotta figure that out, because I want you guys being able to get in, and I want you guys being able to digest and swipe things and go start actually doing something with it, right? I expect results when you guys jump in the mastermind, right? And I don't want you guys to be confused, right? I don't want it to be on my shoulders if you jump in and you're like, holy shit, right? So I gotta get that fixed. Once that's fixed, I'll get a date in the calendar and we'll work everything backwards. So the people that are on the waiting list are gonna be the first to know, okay? Frankly, you guys, as long as there's time, there should be, I'm gonna give you guys like a backdoor entrance is kind of the plan. And so what I mean by that is you guys will be able to skip the pitch and all. I'll get you guys the replay, I'll get you guys the registration link, but if you already know that you want in from past experience, I'll let you like forget the cattle call, right? Meaning you don't have to register for the webinar, you don't have to be there, you don't have to be one of the first X to jump in order to actually be there, right? I'll just give you guys kind of a backdoor access link, and then however many of you guys jump in, I'll take that out of the total slots that are gonna be available when we do it live. Okay, so that's kind of the plan. Eric says, so the customer sees, and again, it's digitaltriggers.io/pay-per-call. And it should be in the chat for you, Jay. So the customer sees what they spent over 30 days. How do you explain the rate is going to be going forward? So again, what we do, Eric, is we break down then what was qualified, right? So we give them the definition of qualified, and then we share them with that, the amount that was qualified. So you got 123 raw calls. Out of that, only 80 were qualified, and qualified is, right? So we walk them through that process, okay? So then our cost per qualified call is this, and we give them that snapshot. So it's kind of this process that we take them through, Eric. And there's some subtleties there that are important if you just really think through it. Like, we want them to agree what a qualified call is before we tell them what the cost is. right? Because then it'll be like, yeah, that's amazing criteria for a call. If I could just get a lot more calls like that, right? It'll be much more accepting than if you just spit out what it is and then back up and say what a qualified call is. Scott Meadows says, hey, Joe, are you still doing the on-site mastermind meetings every few months? That was awesome. Yeah, so Scott, we haven't done any this year yet, but we're gonna do one. My goal is to kind of release that off the back of the mastermind, right? So when we finally get the mastermind up and running again, when people enroll, we'll have 20 or 30 spots available to do. We used to do like a big event, and guys, it's so much fucking work. It's so stressful. It's just hard. Personally, I'd rather run more small events, more intimate, like true mastermind type of events. Those deliver a lot more value and are a whole lot easier for me, and keep me excited and happy and wanting to do it again, which I think is important for me and for you guys. Cool. Frankie, coming, buddy. Chris Vise, good to see you on here, homie. I hope all is well. I hope some of that the issues you were going through when we chatted have passed. I hope life is going well, man. If I'm copying a PPC campaign, shouldn't it be pretty optimized at the end of the day for the beta test? 100%. One of the things, though, and I'm going to teach you guys how to do this, is to put in some automated type of tests or some automated type of rules inside of Google Ads, right? So you can say if my position isn't greater than position 3 or above, right, bid up until I hit this number, and some things like that that'll automatically kind of optimize and make bid adjustments on your behalf. Thanks, Joe. Good Webby. You're very, very welcome, Lonnie. All right, for each and every one of you guys that enjoyed today's call, I would love some feedback. I have an ask, right? I gave you guys that formula, right? Where is it? Let me find it, right? Here it is, right? I need a reason, I need a retail value, I need my offer, and then I need my ask, right? Value, what was it? RRA, right? Retail value, reason, and ask. All right, so the retail value of today's call, I think on the low end, frankly, guys, is better than any of these bullshit pay-per-call lead gen programs out there. Most of them are selling for $500 plus. So let's just cut that in half. And even though it's way freaking better, let's say the retail value is $297 for today's freaking balls to the walls training. I'm giving it to you guys for free. The reason is I want to blow you guys the fuck away. I want you guys to follow me intently in 2019. And when I make an offer, I want you guys to go, yeah, man, Joe has over-delivered like a mofo. And this offer applies to me. I don't expect you guys to buy everything. This offer applies to me. I can see myself in it. I'd love to have those systems, those processes, right? Let me swipe and deploy those, and you guys jump in, okay? But since there is no offer, I'm going to give you guys an ask, okay? I would love a review of today's webinar, okay? I would love a review of today's webinar. And the way I'd like you to phrase this is if you were telling a friend that was in digital marketing about today's webinar, what would you say, right? That would get that person to go register immediately. Be honest, right? Don't over pump it and overvalue if you don't think it was good. I think it was fucking amazing, but that's probably because I prepped for like 6 hours for this thing, right? So I would love the review and just put it in the chat. We will be here. I'm not going to shut down the webinar right away. And I'm going to try to answer a couple more questions, but I do have a hard stop. I got to be out of here at 5:30. So please do me a favor. Put a review in. It would mean the world to me. And guys, frankly, like that supercharges me, right? Being with you guys, like for the last 2 hours and 15 minutes, I'm gonna leave with more energy than I started the webinar with, right? Like you guys jack me up. So giving that review for me is gonna get me freaking amped for the rest of the week and for next week and to get things moving for you guys and to provide more value for you guys. So let me know in the chat. I fucking appreciate it. Have an awesome week. If there's anything I can do for you, any questions that you would like me to ask, go to digitaltriggers.io/AMA. Once you are registered, then you're going to want to bookmark the thank you page, right? And on there, you'll be able to click a link and go ask a question. So just keep that bookmark. So when you got a question in the future, I'll be here to answer it each and every Wednesday. Have a freaking fantastic week, everybody. Woo! Oh, hey, real quick. So we're gonna do our best to answer messages in here, right? But there's a lot of freaking comments in the chat. If you got a consultative type of question, go again, put it in the AMA form. That'll be the place to make sure at some point it actually gets answered for you and it just doesn't just go in the bottomless pit. Somebody asked something though about a lifetime license they purchased of some product, but they didn't say what. So if you guys have any actual like support questions that aren't like consultative questions, right, that only I can answer, like I bought this product, can you get me access to it again or something like that, right? It's super easy to get access to my team for them to be able to provide that to you, okay? All you got to do is go to digitaltriggers.io, and in the bottom right, okay, there'll be a little blue bubble, right, that you can hit. That's my chat. Okay, so just put in your information, say what you're looking for, and please be specific. I bought a lifetime license to what, right? Like say what it is you're looking for, so then we don't have to spend a bunch of back and forth, all right? So let us know if there's something that we can do to help you over there. Always happy to help. Have a freaking fantastic week, guys. Sayonara. If you're still on here, I hope you're writing me that review. I'm seeing quite a few already, and they're fucking awesome. Thanks.